I just want to ask you about the economy, completely crippled. Uh, how do you see this going forward now? I mean, what kind of help will they need, and how long can the protests sustain with the kind of economic
You know,
situation there?
you'll be surprised that the economy, not all sectors of the economy are crippled. Some sectors of the economy are crippled, which are mostly import dependent because of the US sanctions and US secondary sanctions. They have a sustainable agriculture system. They produce all their dairy. They manufacture cement, all construction materials, including large amounts of steel. If you study what's on the US sanctions list, those are all the thriving sectors of the Iranian economy. They produce phosphorus for fertilizer, bitumen, and they have a thriving trade with the UAE, with Iraq, with Armenia, and till some time back with Afghanistan.
Now and they won't be able to do that.
Now they won't be able to do that,
Yeah.
particularly with Afghanistan, because they keep having the
Sure.
issues over the Taliban and the Hazara Shias in the western part of Afghanistan bordering Iran. Uh, so there are sectors of the economy which are damaged because by US sanctions. And what has happened is you've promoted a thriving black market. You've killed the private sector because by sanctions, because the private sector cannot operate in a system where there's no banking. You have no access to the swift settlement process. So you're dependent on transactions from Istanbul and Dubai and other neighbors, Baghdad and these places. That's where your currency comes in. Who controls the borders?
Yeah.
And those controllers are benefiting.
Right.
So if you were to ease off on the sanctions, because sanctions has been weaponized and overused. What success have you had with sanctions? Limited success. You've said 25%, 50%.
But there's been no relook at that sanctions regime. Not from Europe, not from America, that it's not worked. So then why continue with the sanctions and cripple a people?
Cripple your relations with multiple countries.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why you're pushing countries to look at the BRICS unit, the de-dollarization process, which
would
is
not have happened.
Would not have happened if this was the case. And if India had not been pushed away, India was the one within the BRICS which was holding back on the unit, trying to slow down the process. It was inevitable, but to slow it down. So Iran has trade with all its neighbors. It's a very thriving business community. It's a very thriving tech-savvy youth. As Dr. Vaid said, 65% is young, aspirational like our youth, finding no options, no future. So there's despair. So you don't need an organization to be coming out onto the streets just to, vent your
It's angst. Yourself,
your anxiety,
final question,
your frustrations, and then they go back. So we are at a tipping point. I will really be watching these next 72 hours very carefully. Which way will it go? And within this time, if a kinetic action takes place, then it may just not help. It may not be helpful. We have given a travel advisory, so we've been much more cautious, and we are typically.
What does that mean, travel advisory?
Well, we have 3,000 plus people in
so now
Iran.
it's going to just mean sending Air India again.
Well, how much traffic is there between India and Iran anyway? So so we typically we are cautious and we don't get into these issues. Do keep in mind, Russia and Iran are neighbors by maritime, Caspian Sea. There is a lot of trade, given the limitation of the depth and the size of the barges. There's a lot of trade which Russia uses to.
But does Russia have the bandwidth now to get involved in this another mess?
So they'll be watching the situation.
Okay.
They'll be watching. See, you've lost Syria. Russian influence in Syria has gone down.
Yeah.
Not eliminated, it's gone down. Next, you're going to lose influence in Iran, which has supplied you drones.
You've lost in Venezuela.
Venezuela.
Yeah.
So China also will be watching
has lost
carefully.
influence in
and
Venezuela.
Iran exports 2 million barrels
and
per day.
Greenland is out there up for grabs, which was very interesting. We said, I just saw, I think it was a CBS interview, I don't know which one, in which Trump said that what does Denmark think that they can come in a boat and take an entire country? And somebody remind him how America was
No, but
they came in a boat.
Some Greenlanders have come out and said, we don't want to join the US. We are happy being with Denmark.
And who's asking them, right? But I mean, it's not a referendum out
So there's
there.
a 2 million barrel production per day that will upset the energy markets.
Yes.
And China is the biggest buyer of that energy, despite US sanctions. But they do it on a barter system. and they've negotiate very hard, harder than the Iranians to get the oil discounted even more. So I think Moscow and Beijing will also be looking at developments carefully. Will they be supportive of a Reza Pahlavi imposition who will be parachuted into the country? And internally, will the institutions accept such an imposition? Like you mentioned once,
Right.
a puppet.
Yes.
They'll see him as an American
They'll
puppet.
see him, that's what I thought.
Will he be an interim, a transition figure? I don't think he'll want to be that.
He's not going to be a Mohammad Yunus. But he
he
could be a Karzai for all you know.
Or a Chalabi.
Or a Chalabi.
Chalabi failed completely.
Yeah. He could be any of these.
Any of these.
Yeah.
But those are countries where the institutions are not as robust and durable as in Iran. We have to keep that in mind.
Also-
Whatever, for all our criticism, you can still go and speak to the Ministry of Agriculture on pest control. There's a robust network of institutions, research scholars who are studying pests. And telling us, don't import your wheat because your wheat has a pest. We don't want it infecting our crops.
Namaste, Jai Hind. You're watching ANI podcast with Smita Prakash.
अगर हम उसको मस्जिद कहेंगे तो फिर विवाद होगा।
The issue is टूटा है क्या भारत?
400 पार का मतलब ये है कि संविधान खतरे में है।
क्या हम लोग ये निर्देश देते हैं कि फला को गिरफ्तार करके जेल डाल दें?
वही तो कह रहे हैं सब.
ये बेबुनियाद निराधार आरोप।
सच्चा सुनना चाहो देखो स्मिता प्रकाश ANI, it does not lie.